Render, and I'm encouraging you to listen to more, not less, of Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Senator Nina Turner on KBLA Talk 1580.
What is the world coming to? Seems like everyone is running from the sky. Walking through the night. We're the people, we can do it if we try. I know we can do it. Somebody ask me why we have to go through it. It's just a test of our faith. But we're living day to day. We don't know where, we don't know when. But it's coming back again. Oh, yes, it is. Me. Oh, God. It's time for you to return. Oh, me. I know.
Oh, yeah, it's that time again. And Dr. West and myself, we are so delighted. We count it all joy to be together with you on this day. So much popping off, so much happening. But Dr. West and I are going to take a little deeper dive into why is it that the GOP is afraid to make sure that children are protected? Do you know that some of them are trying to undo child labor laws that we fought so hard to get over the decades? And now, because there might be or will be actually a shortage of workers, there go because of the immigrants and migrant situation that the Trump administration has created. Instead of ensuring that adults have work, they have the answer. The answer is go ahead and work our children. Just work them a little younger. Let's relax the laws that protect them. So we're going to talk about that. And then also the Wisconsin Supreme Court, state Supreme Court race is tomorrow. And this whole notion of dark money, outsized money, people with the most money being able to buy elections. Well, Elon Musk is showing us how that can be done in real time as he rallied in Wisconsin and he gave away not one, but two $1 million checks. And what he did is, some people say inching up against breaking the law. I say it's flat out just breaking the law. Some Democrats in Wisconsin had something to say about that, Doc. And I'm actually proud of the Wisconsin Democratic Party because they said, you know what, arrest this man, arrest him as soon as he touched down because he done broke the law. That is an example of how dark money and people with a lot of money can just flat out buy elections. It's happening in Wisconsin. It's happening all over the country. And it's happening at the hands of both parties. But in this case, it is the GOP just straight up in the great state of Wisconsin. Before we get to all of that, we got the doctor. He is in the house. Dr. West, what is on your heart, your soul, and your mind on this day?
My dear sister, I'm glad we made it through the weekend in our right mind. In and of itself is an achieved accomplishment, given all of this mess we in and this nightmare that we're wrestling with. But I think this show, we always connect the small picture to the large picture.
We do.
Larger picture is one in which we trying to hang on to truth, beauty, goodness, and the holy. When you get the kind of gangsterization that we're getting, not just from the White House, but its connection to Wall Street, its connection to capitulation of universities, its connection to keeping the in people who don't want to backs up and speak the truth, be it wrestling with genocide in Gaza or wrestling with the situations in Haiti and Sudan, or wrestling with levels of levels of cruelty. Let's call it what it is. Cruelty of children and people in the United States. But the hold on to truth means to keep track of the lies. And the lies justify the crimes. To keep track of goodness, and the flip side of goodness is evil. And evil is unjustified harm, undeserved suffering of people. And then beauty, the flip side of beauty is terror, the way in which the gangsterization coming out of the White House, terrorizing and terrifying people. to keep them so afraid and scared and intimidated and thinking they're powerless and hopeless and impotent and can't do nothing. And as long as that kind of fear dwells deep in the souls of our fellow citizens and fellow human beings, then it's hard for resistance to emerge. Now, thank God we've got resistance escalating and expanding around the country and the world. So we got to keep that in mind. But on this show, you know, we follow Sonny Rollins and John Coltrane. They said you got to connect the small picture with the large picture. And that means that truth and goodness and beauty and the holy. And by the opposite of holy is really the sacrilegious. It's profane. It's the indifference. It's the callousness toward others. That's what Truth Time is about. And that's why it's always a blessing to be in conversation with you, my dear sister.
Oh, back at you, Doc. I like how you're weaving, connecting the big picture to the small picture, the macro to the micro. It's all one at the end. It all flows in together. And the levels of cruelty, absolutely, we've seen. Yeah, it's a connective tissue. Reminds me of grandmama's quilt.
Oh, the quilt.
All of them different patterns coming together to form something beautiful. And that is really, truly what we need in this particular moment. A whole bunch of different, they would take scraps of material, that other people thought was throwaway, and put them babies together and make a beautiful, magnificent, vibrant quilt. And that is the moment that the everyday people are in, taking all of us, putting us together and making a vibrant quilt. And you talked about protests. Yeah, definitely happening all over the country. Just, I saw over the weekend protests in my home city of Cleveland, people taking to the corner of Chagrin and Warrensville Center Road. If you know anything about Cleveland, what they signs up, mad about Doge, mad about what the Trump administration is doing, speaking up and speaking out. And it was a beautiful sight to see. I had to honk my horn a few times, let them know Sister Turner was rolling through, and I am in solidarity with, I approve of. Really glad that people are standing up and speaking out. And there's supposed to be some big movement, some big mass movement afoot on April the 5th, being organized by different organizations. So we are seeing, Doc, the bubbling up of everyday people taking to the streets, understanding what is at stake, understanding that we are in a moment where the levels of cruelty, we probably haven't seen the highest level or the lowest level at this moment. And that in order to hold on to truth means keeping up with the lies. That's what the doc had to say on this day and this moment. When we come forward, we're going to delve a little deeper into why is it that Republicans want to relax child labor laws, and my, what is happening in the great state of Wisconsin when it comes to that Supreme Court race. Tomorrow is the day. You're listening to Truth Time.
With Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner. Before the fire, Altadena was a real-life Wakanda. A thriving Black oasis just 15 miles from downtown Los Angeles. 80% Black residents were homeowners, building intergenerational wealth against the odds. It was a hub of Black-owned businesses, churches, and cultural institutions. It stood as a symbol of Black resilience and economic independence. Then, in a matter of hours, it was gone. The fire tore through homes, swallowed businesses, and left behind a painful void. But was it just an unstoppable act of nature, or was negligence involved? Did officials ignore early warning signs? Were the response efforts delayed or insufficient? What role, if any, did corporate or government failures play? Survivors are demanding answers. Don't miss our KBLA Talk 1580 Town Hall. The Eden Altadena Fire, 100 days and counting, on Wednesday, April 16th, 4 to 6 p.m. at the Robinson Park Recreation Center, 1081 North Fair Oaks in Pasadena. Join Dominic DePrima, Nee Cordelai Corte, James Farr, Tavis Smiley, and a panel of survivors, community leaders, and experts as we commemorate day 100 since the wildfires flared up. And we discuss where we go from here. It's KBLA's Eden Altadena Fire. 100 Days and Counting Town Hall, Wednesday, April 16th, 4 to 6 p.m. at the Robinson Park Recreation Center in Pasadena. Light refreshments to follow. Admission is free, but sign-up is required at our KBLA1580.com website. This is a community call to action brought to you by KBLA Talk 1580 and Quinn Emanuel Trial Lawyers. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
How serious is youth vaping? Irreversible lung damage serious. 1 in 10 kids vape serious, which warrants a serious conversation from a serious parental figure like yourself. Not the seriously know-it-all sports dad or the seriously smart podcaster. It requires a serious conversation that is best had by you. No, seriously, the best person to talk to your child about vaping is you. To start the conversation, visit talkaboutvaping.org. Brought to you by the American Lung Association and the Ad Council.
Okay, everyone, what did you think of the chocolate bar?
It's too chewy.
Feels kind of chalky.
Too much nougat.
I need to go brush my teeth.
Business is booming for Steph's small marketing research firm.
After all these focus groups, there's only one conclusion. I need more researchers.
And she's way too busy researching
Does this have peanuts?
to waste time researching resumes.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Put our matching platform to work so you can spend less time searching and more time connecting with talented candidates. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
To thine own self be true. Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner coming your way right now on KBLA Talk 1580.
Yes, thank you so much for those of you who came forward with us. We thank you. If you're just joining us, welcome. You're listening to Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner. Doc laid it out. Holding on to truth means keeping up with the lies. That is a word. That's a sermon, Doc, that we can preach. So, speaking of keeping up with the lies, in the great state of Wisconsin, you got Elon Musk, the wealthiest man on the face of the earth, attempting to buy an election. So that stirred up the Democratic AG and also the Democratic chair of Wisconsin to really push back and fight. And let's lean into the law first, because this should not be a partisan issue, Doc. And I want our listeners, I want people who are with us to wrap their minds around an outside force comes in with outsized money. This race is already being declared the most expensive state Supreme Court race in the history of this country. So people got to wrap their minds around this first, even before we get into who's Democrat, who's Republican. Doc, we trying to level set here, right and wrong. And this is why we need campaign finance reform. This is the perfect example of this. So millions of dollars, almost $100 million is being spent in this race, with Elon Musk spending over $20 million, just one person, to try to sway this open seat to the Republicans. So what he did was, in contradiction to Wisconsin law, even though he tried, he found a little loophole, is to give voters money. Now, it is illegal to pay people to vote. So he gave away, in a town hall that he had, 2 $1 million checks. So Jason Call, who's the Attorney General of Wisconsin, wanted to prevent that from happening. And so he filed a lawsuit against Elon Musk on Friday over what he's calling a voter scheme. And this is the quote from the Attorney General: "Based on our understanding of applicable Wisconsin law, we intend to take legal action today to seek a court order to stop this from happening." And this that the Attorney General is talking about is this payout of $2 million checks to voters. And so Musk had promised to do this to voters at an event on Sunday, giving away this money to anybody, people. They had to compete to fight back against what he's calling activist judges. That is the state of play. So from a purely what is in the best interest of Wisconsin voters, it certainly is not having the richest man on the face of the earth monetarily, because riches can mean, Doc, we could philosophize on that, to come into a state that he has no connection to, no care about, and just flat out try to buy the election.
No, but see, this is what happens. When you gangsterize a society, the law doesn't really mean that much, because if the people are gangsterized, they have no respect for the law. See, gangsters have the law, and they will only use the law as a tool for them to further gangsterize. Black people have been dealing with that for 400 years, right? Slavery was a law, right?
Yes.
Against lynching. There was no law against Jim Crow. There was no law against Jane Crow. The same is true. So you end up with a gangster like Musk. He goes in and says, oh, I see it. This gangsterized country, I can do anything I want because I got more money than anybody else, and I can get away with it because the law doesn't mean anything. And even when they do go to the courts, it's going to take the courts months and months and months to go through the process. The election is just in a couple of days.
Yes.
So, you see what I mean? So that when you have a gangsterized population, and this is something that even James Madison and Jefferson and others said, you can't even begin to have a republic unless you have some virtue among the people.
That's right.
Have been so thoroughly gangsterized and commodified, then all the hatred, all the greed, all the contempt is channeled toward power. That's what Trump is. That's what Musk is. And that's why, in many ways, the resistance taking a number of different forms is important. But if it doesn't function on the spiritual and the moral level, my dear sister, then, it's just a sick society. It just gets sicker and sicker and sicker every day, every month. And it will pass away like every other empire. It will go under. It'd be the jungle like. And that's what we're dealing with.
Yeah, I mean, it's unsustainable. Basically, what you're saying. Ultimately, frame it however people want to. The chickens coming home to roost, karma. You pick your analogy, but this will not endure. It can't endure. So, giving people some more facts. So, groups linked to Musk have spent millions to help boost the Republican candidate and have offered financial incentives to voters, which is illegal federally as well. So states have their set of laws. This is also illegal federally. But to your point, Doc, they control the federal government. So they get to decide, right? You get to meet out. So you get to set the rules and break the rules at the same time. Where are the referees? See, government is supposed to be the referee, Doc. I want folks to understand this. They supposed to call the fouls. But we have government leadership that is setting the rules and not calling any of the fouls when it comes to them, their own self-interest. Again, this is how neo-fascism is reflected. Now, when it comes to campaign finance reform, however, I want to put a however out there. We should have been did that as a nation, because the more. Go ahead, Doc. Already should have been done, but both major parties push back against that. And that's why I often say they answer to their owner donors. But here we go. So incentives to engage them in the race. It is yet another test of billionaire's effort to turn his financial might into political power in a way that only somebody with the type of money like him can do. And so we got to ask ourselves, is that fair? Citizens United messed this all up. Once the Supreme Court of the United States of America said money is speech, here we go. This is what we get. So now I want the folks with us, though, Doc, to understand why he jumped into this race. It's all about his self-interest, not the interest of the poor and working class people of Wisconsin, not the interest of the small business owner in Wisconsin, not the interest of communities, rural, urban, or suburban in Wisconsin. This is, sisters and brothers, family and friends and frenemies, all about him. So he became involved in the election shortly after Tesla, his company, sued Wisconsin over a state law. And let me break this down. A state law that prohibits auto manufacturers from selling directly to consumers. Now that lawsuit is probably going into the courts, but this is why Musk jumped into this race, Doc.
Well, we can rest assured that when you're spending that much money, it is not for the public good. It's not for the common good. It is for the gangsters who rule. It is for thugs who dictate. It is for the might who think they can define right.
Yes.
And we have to call it for what it is. Now, if in fact, you got a whole a Republican Party that says, okay, we know we got gangsters running our party, but we're fearful, so we go with them. Or if you got Democrats that can't generate a genuine opposition to the gangsterism, or if they still tied to their own billionaires, the good billionaires rather than the bad billionaires. I think that's what the chairman of the Democratic National Committee used, wasn't that the latest?
And that is, yeah, that's the term he used.
The good billionaires, that's our billionaires, and the bad billionaires, oh, that's Musk and them. Oh, really? I thought you were in principle against citizens. Citizens
United, yeah. Oh, it gets sticky, Doc. It gets sticky.
It's funky in a funky way. I'm telling you.
Oh, that's why I'm shaking. It's complicated, but it's not complicated. If we say no dark money,
that's
that
right.
Money, contrary to what the United States Supreme Court said, a billionaire or somebody that's working class, that billionaire shouldn't have more speech through money than somebody else who doesn't have that much money. So whatever the limit is for the donation, that should be it.
That's right.
But that ain't how either party rolls, Doc. So now the chair, let me get this in. Come on. Now I'm really happy about Chairman Ben Winkler. Now he done stepped up here. He done did his thing. So before I get to him, but a nonpartisan election law expert, Rick Hansen, wrote he wrote this. He said Musk activity appears to violate the plain meaning of the statute. He's offering a chance to win $1 million, which is a thing of value, you don't say. And it's only offered to people who have voted. This is crystal clear. So now in response, the Democratic chairman of Wisconsin, Chairman Ben Winkler, released the following statement. He said Elon Musk has committed a blatant felony by offering money for votes in order to help Republican candidate. Musk illegal elections bribery scheme to put this Republican candidate on the Supreme Court in Wisconsin is a chainsaw attack on democracy and the rule of law in Wisconsin. And so basically the chairman goes on and says, arrest him as soon as he lands. Arrest him, pick him up.
Oh, I'm telling you, it's a whole lot of criminals out here. It's a whole lot of criminals out here in high places. But let me ask this though, did the Republican candidate say anything critical about the gangsterized activities supporting him?
No. No, Doc. First, there's people running for, and I'm talking from Ohio, but I'm assuming that it is the case for most judicial races. They're not supposed to touch any of this at all. Now, whether or not he could have made a statement, Doc, I ain't gonna let him off the hook. But
Right.
let's just say, like in Ohio, judges are just supposed to tell their platform, and that's it. They can't even collect their own donations in Ohio. Ooh. I'm not sure that that's the case in Wisconsin. Now, but you're asking a deeper question. There's a wrong happening, and whether or not he's precluded from, if he even had the will to do so, to say, I don't want none of this. Elon, don't come here. Don't bring none of this. Could he have a spokesman say that? Because somebody have said that on his behalf. None of that happened. None of that happened, Doc. But I want to give that kind of not sure if he directly could speak up and speak out.
Absolutely. I just so deeply appreciate you keeping me and all of us up on top of these kinds of things. Back the way I should, you know what I mean? But Lord have mercy. But I think, though, that the same thing was done to you when you ran for Congress, though. All of the millions and millions of dollars coming from APEC and other lobby groups from outside ain't got nothing to do with Cleveland, not concerned about the precious brothers and sisters in your district. It was all about trying to make sure that they can preserve some kind of foreign policy to support Israel. And there was no word said by your opponent. She just took the money and ran, right?
Yeah, she did. I mean, we have since had a conversation with one another to air out our differences about what actually happened in that race. But you are exactly right. At the time, nothing was said. And I will say this, as I have said in the past, unless there was an invasion, a body snatcher invasion of me, if the shoe were on the other foot, I would have said, I don't want your money. I don't want to win that badly. For me, candidates should do everything to win, but not anything to win. And my race was the canary in the coal mine, so to speak, to what, or foreshadowing, if you will, to use something from English, a foreshadowing of what was to come for Congress members Bush and Bowman.
And that's a strong message. Persons like yourself who have integrity, it means they have no place in a gangsterized political system. That's what they're saying. They're saying if you have the courage to push back that kind of money in the name of integrity and principle and how you were raised by your mama, daddy, and grandmama and church, they could have been a mosque or a temple, but integrity.
Integrity, Doc. And it takes a lot in this business. It really does. Again, it's simple, but it's complicated. I know people want to win, but in this era of dark money, somebody got to say we're going to resist it so that the voices of the individuals in those respective districts can speak, and not outside money that really does not care about the fact that 1 of every 2 children, by way of example, in Cleveland is living in poverty. You're listening to Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner. When we come forward, we will continue this robust dialogue about dark money in politics.
The truth will set you free, but first it might raise your blood pressure.
I'm not driving you, baby.
More of Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner when we come forward.
I'm Doug Davis with 4 things you should know with BIN News. Members of the California Legislative Black Caucus announced a new reparations package that includes special preference in college admissions for the descendants of enslaved Africans who lived in California. The package follows President Trump dismantling diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. Maryland Governor Wes Moore, who is black, is blaming the operators of a cargo ship for the deadly collapse of the Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore last year. Moore told CNN State of the Union the ship set off with serious mechanical issues. U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi announced today that the Department of Justice is dropping a lawsuit against Georgia's voter ID law passed in 2021. The lawsuit was brought on by the DOJ under the Biden administration that claimed at the time that it targeted black voters. Georgia U.S. Representative Lucy McBath, who is black, has suspended her exploratory bid for governor in 2026 due to her husband's health issues. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Since the dawn of baseball, countless players have heard the call of destiny. Witness the hills of the game in ballparks nationwide. Get your tickets today at MLB.com/tickets. Major League Baseball trademarks used with permission.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The major challenge for the USC women's basketball team tonight is how to keep Connecticut guard Paige Beckers from wrecking their defense. Beckers had 40 points in UConn's win over Oklahoma on Saturday. The initial defensive assignment on Beckers has been handed to freshman Kennedy Smith. Smith will need a lot of help, and some of that help won't be there. Juju Watkins will be watching on TV. Tough task tonight for USC as they try to join UCLA in the Final Four. 6 p.m. tip-off on ESPN. The selection committee for the NCAA men's basketball tournament got it right. All 4 number 1 seeds made it to the Final Four: Houston, Florida, Duke, and Auburn. It's only the second time in the tournament's history that the 4 number 1 seeds advanced. The first time it happened was in 2008. UCLA was joined by Kansas, Memphis, and North Carolina. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. Is someone you love struggling with addiction and mental illness? Is improving your family's health important? Want to leave a legacy that your family can grow? Are you ready to enhance your perception of life experiences? Then wake up weekends at 7 a.m. with Urban Family Focus and get the wisdom, opportunity, resources, and motivation to live your best life. Join the conversation on Urban Family Focus Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
Looking for a purposeful and passionate way to make a difference in your community? Volunteer with our Senior Medicare Patrol and help prevent Medicare fraud. S&P volunteers work in their community educating peers about healthcare fraud and how to prevent and detect it. Free training starts soon. Check us out online or at an S&P open house near you. We're on a mission to stop fraud. Join our team. You make a difference. Visit caspvolunteer.org. Protect yourself from Medicare card scams. Scammers may call, email, or even knock on your door claiming they need your Medicare info, asking for money or threatening to cancel your benefits. Don't fall for it. It's a scam. Remember, Medicare doesn't need to verify your information. They already have it. Medicare won't charge you for a new card and will never threaten to cancel benefits. Check your Medicare statements for suspicious charges and report scams to the California Senior Medicare Patrol at 1-855-613-7080. We're here to help.
KBLA Talk 1580 is pleased to announce that, like George and Weezy,
Well, we're moving on now.
earlier this year, we were named as semifinalists for the American Climate Leadership Awards 2025. Wait for it. You ready? KBLA Talk 1580 was recently selected as one of 10 finalists being considered for this prestigious award. Hundreds of organizations, institutions, and even cities were nominated in the selection process. But KBLA Talk 1580 has made it to the finals. You're invited to watch live on Wednesday, April 16th at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Central, as Eco America announces the winner and the runner-up, awarding over $200,000 in prize money. To watch live, just go to ecoamerica.org to register and attend the online ceremony. That's ecoamerica.org. Don't miss the presentation of the American Climate Leadership Awards 2025, Wednesday, April 16th, and wish us luck. Caring about the climate, caring about the community, changing the conversation. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we've got your black. This is where love and truth meet.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
You're listening to Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner.
Love and truth. Absolutely. Dr. West and I are examining dark money in politics using the Wisconsin Supreme Court race as a prime example. That election, that is tomorrow for people who live in Wisconsin. So, Doc, before I go to, because it's jumping in our YouTube channel, again, we like to give credit where credit is due, and so I want to just salute Brother Ben Winkler, the chair of the Democratic Party in Wisconsin, by not mincing words, putting out a strong statement, calling for police to just go ahead and arrest Musk on sight. And he also brings up, Doc, what you did, which is, if the Republican candidate does not speak up, you complicit. So he did. Winkler, he addressed that. He said Elon Musk should be brought to justice for his illegal attempt to buy votes for the Republican candidate, and that the Republican candidate should immediately condemn Musk's crimes and disavow his continued involvement in this campaign. If he does not immediately call on Musk to end this criminal activity, we can only assume he is complicit. Now, again, I want folks who have joined us, not sure what the rules are for a judicial candidate to speak up and to speak out in that way. But the question becomes, could somebody else kind of allude to it on their behalf? I was given the example of Ohio and how very strict it is in terms of activities that judicial candidates can and cannot engage in. I am not saying that he couldn't have, Doc. I'm not sure what the rules are. And the same thing in Ohio. The examples that I'm giving about fundraising, about collecting the money, asking for money, they can't do that. But whether or not they could disavow such an activity, and if they could, if this Republican candidate could, he should. Oh, and the same thing would be for anybody, right, Doc? I mean,
absolutely. Politician. No matter what, no matter what. But we don't hold our breath for politicians these days. I mean, you got some decent ones still out there.
Yeah, we do.
No.
We do. And yeah, he should have disavowed. And then the last thing that Chairman Ben Wickler said, he said law enforcement must act now before this goes any further. Must crime to assist the Republican candidate has already been committed. And if Elon Musk sets foot in Wisconsin, this is my favorite part. If he sets foot in Wisconsin, he should be placed in handcuffs and held accountable, just like any other criminal. Musk cannot, emphasis on can, have his day in court, but he cannot buy the court. Hello, he can have his day in court, but he can't buy the court. Look, Brother Ben did that, Doc. I got to give it to him.
Oh, no, I give it up to Brother Ben. No, we on Truth Time, we acknowledge those who telling the truth now.
We do. Got to give it to him. Love that spunk in him. That's how you drive. Just put it out there like that. So we will see what the voters of the great state of Wisconsin decide to do. Again, I want to put an asterisk on the decision, Doc, because when you got that kind of money, $100 million being spent for one Supreme Court race, one seat, and 20 million of those dollars coming from one source, that influences how the voters may or may not react.
Absolutely. But I wonder where all of that other money came from. If he gave 20 million and 100 million is involved, that's still a whole lot of money left over coming from somewhere, huh?
Yeah, some of his allied PACs are doing it as well. It'll be interesting to see how much money came in on behalf of the GOP candidate compared to the Democrat candidate. Either way, this is too much money. Just like in the presidential campaign on the Democratic, $1 billion. It was $1 billion in this race. It was $1 billion in 2016, 2024, 2016 on the Democratic side, almost $1 billion. This is obscene. It's obscene. And it just should not be accepted on either side. But what especially should not be accepted is for one person or 5 or 6 people to be able to buy a whole race, and for Musk to just blatantly, in the face of federal and also state law, he was on stage, Doc. I watched it, giving out the, how they put the jumbo checks. He was there. He gave 2 people the jumbo checks for that symbol for $1 million a piece, just skirting the law flat out. So we're going to see what happens. Going to our YouTube, we have somebody in here who loves us both, Doc, but probably loves you the most. Sending love from Sweden. Power to the people. That's coming from Dr. Anahita.
I love it. Her beloved mother and her beloved sister. I got a beloved brother Bo.
Yeah. Yes. Glad she has made it there safely and is with her family. I hope she's having a good time. We got Brother Morris Phillips. Wow, it's good to be back. Hello, Dr. West. And good afternoon, Senator Turner. Hello and good afternoon to you as well, Brother Phillips. We got Blessed Peacemaker. Good to be with you all again. The best way to find joy in life is to keep on creating, to keep on loving, to keep on struggling for justice, and to keep on finding ways to connect with others.
Truth on Truth Time, coming from Africa, coming out of.
That's it, Doc. Blessed Peacemaker. No, he be doing that. We got Sister Selena Ricks in the house. Hello, everyone. It's Truth Time! ! Happy Monday with a smiley face. Happy Monday, sis. And we have Daryl Evans. Hello, Dr. West and Senator Nina Turner. We need to go to stop Trump and Musk from what they're doing. Basically, Brother Evans is saying we got to stop Musk and Trump from what they're doing. And there are a lot of people, Doc, on the front lines really trying to do just that.
Well, you mentioned April 5th. This is the thing we've been working on for a while. Refuse fascism, calling for hit the streets. And we hope that there is a massive display of deep concern and care for poor and working people who are being crushed by the neo-fascist policies coming out of the White House. And they're so complicitous. Congress, as weak as they can be, trying to hold out for the courts. Some of them look like they want to raise their voices. Other ones want to authorize it as well. It's clear that most of Wall Street is capitulating. And when you look at Columbia University and other universities, too many of them are capitulating. Now, the brother at Wesleyan's holding on, Brother Roth, and even Princeton, Brother Chris at Princeton, he had a critical word. That's good. So there's been some voices, but they have to be stronger. They must be.
They do that, and deeper. You know, people lock arms. They can't get everybody. So the more people who stand up on the side of righteousness, the more righteousness will prevail. Which leads me to a question, Doc, that Blessed Peacemaker has for you. And his question is, Dr. West, how do we bring virtue on a spiritual and moral level back to such people as USA, as U.S. Americans have become? Like, in other words, what is it? Is there something that can be done to bring spirituality and morality back?
Well, I mean, you just have to have people who are courageous, because courage is contagious. You have to have people who are willing to speak the truth, because truth telling can become compelling. And you have to have folk who are willing to seek justice, because seeking justice tends to give folk juice in their souls and fire in their tanks. That's what revivals are. That's what Renaissance are. That's what rejuvenation, revitalization movements are. But it's only by example. And if you don't have enough folk who are exemplifying the virtue, by virtue, we're talking about courage, love, justice, all of those things that make life so meaningful, but also the things you can't pay for.
Amen to that. Truth telling can be compelling. You're listening to Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner. When we come forward, we will continue.
It's Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation, and a regular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduced stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop taking prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. It may increase your stroke risk. Eliquis can cause serious and, in rare cases, fatal bleeding. Don't take Eliquis if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or take longer for bleeding to stop. A spinal injection while on Eliquis increases risk of blood clots, which may cause paralysis, the inability to move. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding, unusual bruising, or tingling, numbness, or muscle weakness. Medications such as aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners may increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
Hi, I'm Dominique DePrima, and it's almost time to celebrate KBLA's 4th anniversary, coming up Juneteenth 2025. We'll be marking the achievement with 4 key community events, including a special symposium, luncheon, and brain trust hosted by me entitled The State of Black Women in Los Angeles. Keep it locked here for details on how to join us for this groundbreaking symposium examining the unique challenges, triumphs, and contributions of Black women in Los Angeles in the areas of education, healthcare, community leadership, cultural and political contributions. This public convocation will provide a critical forum to address the specific social, economic, and political realities facing Black women in LA today. We'll go live with a radio broadcast and YouTube live stream, a public discussion, and a private dialogue with some of LA's most impactful women. It's an affirmation of Black women standing at the intersection of race and gender in times of adversity while demonstrating remarkable resilience and leadership. We will listen and we will speak out and be heard, all in service of finding opportunities and solutions. Please plan to join us in celebrating our 4th anniversary by amplifying the voices of Black women. For more on our symposium and 4 events celebrating 4 years on the air, simply stay tuned or keep an eye on KBLA1580.com and help make this Juneteenth more jubilant with all of us at KBLA Talk 1580.
Truth crushed to earth shall rise again. You're listening to Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner, only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Yes, you are. I mean, this has been, it's so much happening right now. So we're going to move to what is happening in Florida and some other states in this country. So this headline definitely caught my attention, made me want to cuss. And Florida debates lifting some child labor laws to fill jobs vacated by undocumented immigrants. So instead of pushing the federal government to really come up with some humane immigration reform to do the right thing across presidencies, not just this one, instead of figuring out how to get more adults gainfully employed, the great state of Florida immediately goes to lifting some child labor laws to fill jobs vacated by undocumented immigrants. So saying that children can work overnight, there's certain time limitations for children to be able to work. In most states, children have to get a work permit if they want to work, at the age of 13 or 14 or something like that, have their parents' permission, but there are parameters that are set. And they even want to take away the water and food breaks from 16 to 17-year-olds, Doc, in this proposed bill, in this debate. You want to talk about moral decay.
That's that spiritual obscenity you were talking about.
Yeah.
100 years ago, there was a very influential text published by Upton Sinclair called The Jungle.
Yes.
Child labor laws. It was against the levels of corruption in the workplace, with greedy bosses doing everything they could to exploit workers, making sure they're not organized, bringing as many children as they could in. And you say to yourself, the ultimate logic really of such a system is just enslavement. Just go on and enslave people, because that's really the conditions under which massive exploitation with no accountability of elites is most profitable. That's what's driving so much of what we're talking about. It's the same greed, the same callousness, the same indifference toward not just children, but the children's parents. Those children are just as precious as Musk's kids. They're just as precious as Trump's kids. They're just as precious as my kids. They're just as precious as your kid. And if we lose that morality and that spirituality, then it's the jungle across the board. That's what Upton Sinclair said in 1905, and it's still true in 25.
Absolutely, it is. Like, I recommend the folks read the book, The Jungle. I actually read that in graduate school. Definitely changed some of my thought processes and just really laying it out. And as a country, we had to evolve into having protections for children. Imagine that. There were no protections for enslaved children. I'm gonna slide that back in the parking lot. I just want folks to understand this, that throughout the course of history in this country, Black children, especially, and then the children of other poor people have always been disregarded. But when you're chattel slavery, it's a whole different type of disregard. No comparison to that disregard. Maybe some threads of similarity, but just no comparison. And then, when we think about coal miners, and we did highlight the life and the legacy of the one and only Mary Harris Jones, better known as Mother Jones. That was part of her crusade, part of her mission. When she fought for coal miners, she took a particular liking, if you will, or particular in her mission for fighting for working class people to really, really fight for children who were working in those coal mines, little bodies. And your point about relaxing those kind of laws or not having laws like that at all really benefit the elites who own those mines. They knew that poor people's children were in those mines and they didn't care.
That's exactly right. Just not caring. And that's, of course, that's the bottom line. I mean, that's what you really have in Gaza. People just don't care about Palestine. That's what you really have in Sudan. People just don't care about the focus. That's what you really have in Haiti. That's what you really have in too often in the United States. You know, folks just reach the point where they think they can make it through life by not caring about vulnerable people.
Yeah. Not understanding that, one, but by the grace of God, there go any of us. And two, it's only a matter of time before it's you or somebody that you love. And that is a reason. I mean, there's a moral reason that should stir people, but there's also a basic, I need to survive reason why. One day it could be you and somebody or something that you love. You're listening to Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner. When we come forward, we will continue this conversation.
A safe place to go loud. A great place for progressive politics. KBLA Talk 1580.
Lena Bloom for the Bail Project. Imagine you're stuck in a jail cell and you can't afford bail, and someone offers you a way out. Just plead guilty and you can go home and kiss your kids goodnight. What do? What thousands have. You plead guilty whether you are or not. Cash bail makes poverty a crime. That's why the Bail Project helps those who can't afford it while fighting to end cash bail. Because freedom should be free. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. If you need help getting your resume in order, finding job training, or landing a job, we've got 3 great options for you. First, the City of Los Angeles has WorkSource centers across the area offering free job support. The California Workforce Development Board can help you with everything from GED prep to vocational training at no cost to you. On the federal level, the Department of Labor's American Job Centers offer a full range of services for job seekers and businesses alike. Visit careeronestop.org, or for more info, just call California's Help Center or visit cwdb.ca.gov or call 916-657-1440. For the City of Los Angeles programs, go to ewdd.lacity.gov or call 213-744-7300. All these services are free to help you get your next job. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
This is where love and truth meet.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
You're listening to Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner.
Beautiful indeed. Doc, in our remaining moments, I had to just tiptoe back into the chat. I want to give our viewers / listeners kind of the last word. We have a question coming. Well, Blessed Peacemaker said the jungle will definitely make you not want to eat sausage. That is so true, Doc. That is so true. So I don't know. We should put up a warning. If you like sausage, you might not want to read. The jungle. Thank you, Blessed Peacemaker, for reminding us of that. And then we have a question from Sir TR33. Question for Senator Turner. Dr. West is welcome as well. Is it even worthwhile to be calling them senators these days? I've been calling my senators every day in 2025, and this fight feels lopsided. I want Sir TR33 to know it's always worth it. Absolutely. And you might not feel as though your call is making an impact, but just multiply you times thousands and thousands and thousands. And that is, in fact, what is going to move mountains eventually, even if it doesn't move it in this moment. The fact that you're willing to engage. And Doc, I don't know how you feel about that question, but I say keep engaging.
I think we got to keep engaging on every front. Now, a lot of these senators receive a lot of telephone calls, but if they're receiving millions and millions of dollars, sometimes those dollars are more influential than the telephone call. But that doesn't mean we don't stop resisting and stop putting pressure, bringing power to bear on elected officials or anybody in a position of power. So that I'm with you on that.
Yeah, keep pushing. If everybody put their hand to do something, that's how the change is going to come. And we want to give some recommendations here. So if you live in those states where they are flirting with the obscenity, the disgrace of relaxing child labor laws, make sure you call your state elected officials in those legislatures. Make sure you let them know, not on your watch where you just sit back and let them relax child labor laws. They want poor people to work from birth to death. That's really what this is coming down to, Doc. It's been this way for certain groups for such a long time, and it's resurrecting here. So call your state legislators and tell them, no, you don't want that on your watch. And if you can have some traction with some of the folks on the local levels of government, it's really just awareness, making each one teach one, making people aware that these things are happening. This is not what a civilized society does to their children. And that I'm old enough to remember, I'm switching gears to our first topic, which was money and being able to buy elections. I'm old enough to remember when the GOP was saying that giving water out in line to voters who were thirsty was bribery. I'm old enough to remember that. I don't know. Is it just me, or is that real? Did that happen?
That's real. The hypocrisy, unbelievable.
So water is bribery, but giving out $1 million checks is not. I'm trying to. I just somebody needs to make this make sense. Woo!
It is.
There it is, Doc. There it is. So let me see my Nina note real quick for today. I was just thinking, Congresswoman Barbara Jordan, what the people want is simple. They want an America as good as its promise. And that really is what we are pushing for here on Truth Time, as we expose, as we explore, as we discuss, as we engage each and every one of you. We definitely count it all joy. The Doc and I want you to live on purpose, in your purpose. And remember, titles are good, but purpose is better. Until next time.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.